Hey, hey!
Yeah,
We are back again. It is the Gout Foundation.
episode 2.
It's your boy Raphael from J Knows Wrestling and
The Cardi B of Wrestle Talk. The Gout Machine.
oh, one of these days I'll figure out my left from my right on
I'm
this
constantly
camera.
moving my head. Like, where is my head supposed to go?
I
Where are my hands
wish
supposed to go?
I wish like camera technology was better. Like I know when I use my phone, like it flips on its own. So why can't an actual camera do that? But
Right.
it
Because
is what it is.
it wants my to show my shirt without spelling it backwards. That I'm
Yeah.
feeling oozy.
Feeling oozy, baby.
Mm.
You know, that was something because I think that had happened right before our last show. No, it happened the day after our last show. And that would have been a good thing for us to cover as well
Yeah.
last week. But we won't cover it too much this week. But just know if you're out there feeling oozy, I'm feeling juicy for you.
Mm. Wet ass oozy.
Oh, man.
Oozy.
You know,
Okay.
pretty soon, what's that group called? Hit Row. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to be hearing a Wet and Oozy anthem from Hit Row whenever they inevitably beef with the Usos.
It writes itself.
But all of you who've seen us last 2 weeks ago, if you didn't know, the Gout Foundation here going over all the craziness in professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't anything crazier in the last 2 weeks than Nash Carter debuts in AEW. It was so exciting. We knew it was going to be somebody from Sting's past, and he revealed himself, and that man was Nash Carter. The crowd just so stricken by the surprise went silent because all of their jaws dropped. But then after that, we got a little bit of a debut, I guess. Another man in a Sting mask that I guess Sting knows somehow. Jeff Jarrett. And
Ooh.
how'd you feel about Jeff Jarrett appearing in AEW? Because I'm sure I already know how you feel about Nash Carter. Because it's same as everybody
The
else. Nash
legend Nash
freaking
Carter.
Carter in AEW.
Oh my God! I think he was already there, but to see him debut again, amazing, jaw dropping. But when Jeff Jarrett showed up, it was as awkward as I don't know, kissing a cousin. It was just wrong. I don't know. It didn't feel right. Like you know the old saying. He crushed 1,000 guitars, didn't draw a dime. That man didn't draw a nickel. He didn't drop pennies. The place smelled like copper.
Well, at least he made sure to break his guitar immediately upon showing up there. And
Contractually obligated.
and Tony Khan made sure to ruin the entire thing immediately after the show by letting us all know that Jeff Jarrett will be backstage as well, working.
Oh, hey, you know what? Global Force Wrestling was no, never mind. TNA and at some point.
Well, he may have some gold bars for us though, so pretty excited about that opportunity. A billionaire teaming up with Jeff Jarrett to sell gold. So that might be a pretty good opportunity for all of us wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward so much to this. Jeff Jarrett, Double J, Jeff Jarrett in AEW. Like the future is so bright with those gold bars. Sorry, I can't look anyone in the eye when I say anything good about Jeff Jarrett. Like that was probably I keep forgetting he was world champion in WCW. In fact, I think David Arquette was a better world champion than Jeff Jarrett ever was.
He was a more visible world champion than Jeff Jarrett.
More
So,
memorable.
yeah, that is true. But Jeff Jarrett showing up in AEW has me conflicted because is AEW seriously trying to replicate WCW? Because obviously they're in the decline now because they have shown that they are definitely picking the elite over Punk. And what did WCW do after their finger poke of doom? Brought in Jeff Jarrett. Or are they trying to make AEW more like TNA Impact and just become a second rate wrestling company that people, a year or two from now be like, oh, they're still on? Oh, I forgot about them. Okay. Well, good for them. Good job, AEW. You're still on the air. Just like people say about Impact now. Because I have no other idea why he would, now it would have been a good idea if he didn't mention the whole backstage thing and he kind of made it seem like a legitimate invasion, like he had a legitimate gripe. But he does the body bag thing, talks about all the body bags. And then, that's Darby Allin's thing. And we did get a hint in the previous week that it would be somebody from Sting's past coming to attack him. And I thought AEW was just trying to poke fun at WCW and the whole Black Scorpion thing by Nash Carter being the big reveal. Like, oh my God, it's Nash Carter. He once drove a rental car that Sting rented 2 weeks later. That is the big connection there.
Deep cut. That's a deep cut.
And I thought they were going there, but no, they brought in Jeff Jarrett. But
only Anderson would have had my nipples more hard than Jeff Jarrett.
It would have made more sense and not been as like, huh.
Full circle.
Now, another thing I'm wondering too, because Jeff Jarrett, I don't know how familiar you are with Jeff Jarrett and the Effie feud that was going on in GCW.
I was all over that.
Okay, so there was hints that something was still kind of going on there. It kind of seemed like Jeff Jarrett was eventually going to help Effie out. But with the I was about to call him Dean Ambrose. The John Moxley contract just came up, and they talked about how he can't wrestle in GCW anymore. That's out of his contract unless AEW partners with GCW. So is Tony trying to take any type of big names away from GCW so AEW could be the only other viable option to WWE? Or are they trying to get any higher ups from WWE? Because CM Punk was probably going to be that guy to take them to the next level. Now he's not there, so now we're going to have to headhunt and get any type of backstage talent from WWE they could get to move on.
Like they already have Sanjay Dutt over there, and he was a backstage talent in WWE.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're just gonna, I think, like it's kind of like they're not gonna pick up the wrestlers anymore. We're just gonna get the backstage guys. We need somebody that worked there so we can figure out and know what we're doing over here.
Oh yeah, because it blows my mind. I thought production.
If Pat Patterson was still alive, they would hire him.
I am actually surprised that they haven't tried to reanimate his corpse and bring him out, kind of like a PCO situation.
I was picturing the same thing.
But
if Vince was still there, he probably would have him like. Tony Khan. Tony Khan probably try to come up with a whole like it's alive type deal. Somewhere over in Daly's place, I can see that.
Now I'm wondering if Tony's tried to reach out to Vince McMahon even to see his interest in still staying involved in wrestling altogether. God, it's not working.
He had nothing to do.
Yeah.
He's at home playing with probably playing with a Nintendo Switch. He's bored as hell. He probably wants to do something wrestling like.
Tony half his people are there.
What?
Half his people are there. He's worked with just about all the top talent in AEW already, so he already has a rapport. But
2023. Vince will be elite.
That would be the ultimate ultimate last bullet in the war between the two. That's when, and it'll be the reverse of WCW. It'll be Vince McMahon and AEW, Shane and WWE, and Vince going, "Yes, McMahon's on the contract, but it's Vince McMahon." But I'm just wondering, so they made Jeff Jarrett head of live events like he was in WWE, even though there was no live events. Well, Jeff had that
Oh yeah.
title because COVID was still going on. But WWE is already scaling back on live events because they're not making as much money.
Mm-hmm.
So why would AEW hire somebody for something that kind of seems like it's a dying way for your company to make money?
Gold bars.
Okay.
I'm going with the gold bars from earlier because right now AEW with live, I don't see them doing live shows being. I don't see that being a success at all unless you record them somehow. But house shows for AEW, I feel would tank horrific bad. Kind of like how when TNA was doing that. I remember 10 years ago they were trying to go on tour and failure, bringing in 50 people if most.
Yeah, they only worked overseas is the only places those work because they're so starved for live televised, wrestling stars that they see on TV. They got a pretty good independent scene, obviously. In AEW, that might be their only success is if they do stuff overseas. But think of how many people on their roster cannot go overseas because either their passports are from other countries, not being America, and also they have a couple of felons that England is one of the hardest countries to get into as a felon, not be able to go. But talking about the gold bars, like you brought up, do you think Jeff Jarrett might have gotten this job being head of live events because he was trying to show Tony Khan a treasure map of where some gold bars are, and Tony mistook that as Jeff Jarrett knowing where all these great arenas are that would make money?
I could see Tony Khan being really confused at the sight of a treasure map or anything that involves making a profit.
Yeah.
And Jeff Jarrett, I know I've been on treasure hunts with former AWA talent before. Me and Luna Vachon, we got stuck in the jungle at one point. But going back to Jeff Jarrett and his treasure, he knows where gold is. I've seen he's basically a Scrooge McDuck. Kind of like DuckTales. We don't remember Scrooge McDuck, kind of like how we don't remember Jeff Jarrett's reigns as world champion.
Or him drawing money whatsoever.
Not one bit. The man could go to an ATM, put in his PIN number, and he won't even draw a single dollar. Because he can't. If you gave him a crayon right now, gave him some construction paper, he would not be able to draw a dime.
And this angle, so not only did Tony kill an angle of a possible invader coming in here to take out your biggest rising star in Darby Allin, but taking out your biggest established star that's in the ring in Sting, not only did he just take the legs out of it by announcing the partnership, but then we get Jeff Jarrett again this week just saying just random generic heel promo and saying he's going to attack the cameraman. How long is it going to be before we see Sting, or are we just going to get this match on Full Gear and we should already assume it's going to happen because the last episode of Dynamite built nothing for the pay-per-view?
I'm trying to figure out, he said nothing, and he didn't even smash a guitar. That's part of the $6 million agreement of guitars, and he just threatened a guy, like, don't wheel me up, like trying to do his BS heel shtick. He made fun of Braun Strowman at one point. I was waiting for him to make fun of the Grimace from McDonald's. He's a real monster. He ain't looking like a giant purple nipple.
Well, he didn't do a guitar shot this week because he's possible, he probably won't do one next week either. So at the pay-per-view, he could break 3 guitars in one night. That's what it is.
All these saved up.
Yeah. Because if you ever look back and you notice when he smashes multiple guitars, because, guitars being under a wrestling ring is a naturally occurring thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you notice, when he smashes several in one night, either the weeks leading up to that or the weeks after that, you don't see him smashing a guitar because he's set up. If he's on a 104-week deal for 2 years, he's only allowed to break 104 guitars, or that money has to start coming out of his own pocket, and he ain't doing that.
Contractually obligation.
Yeah.
The guitars are underneath the ring just like thumbtacks and leprechauns. God bless America.
Now, where does Nash Carter go from here? Because, the AEW faithful, just their jaws were on the floor just to see his face. So why isn't he put into this world title eliminator tournament? Because that alone, I would have figured made Tony Khan, be like, oh my God, this is rising star.
Good money.
Yeah.
Man lactates dollars. Man, I was prepared for that. Like, we got to mention him, and like that's it. That's all we saw. Then we saw him 2 seconds in a backstage promo. But that's what Tony Khan unfortunately does to a lot of his up and coming talent.
Yeah. And his announcers, they flipped out over Nash Carter. Like, that was like the second coming. And then when Jeff Jarrett was showing up, it's like, oh, it's Jeff Jarrett. Like, we should have naturally known that after we saw Nash Carter, that Jeff Jarrett is like the next step in logic if there was going to be a surprise after Nash Carter. Now, I understand Nash Carter, Nashville, but that's about the only comparison I could draw from that.
Aaron Carter?
Oh.
Ooh,
Nash Carter popping up ended the party at Aaron Carter's house.
Oh my God. And scene.
So after we get the Jeff Jarrett and whomever against Darby Allin and Sting at Full Gear, what does Jeff Jarrett do after that? He's promised body bags. Is this going to be a feud that goes on with him and Sting for the duration of AEW, which we have about 4 years left of the company?
I could see them doing an entire 4-year rivalry. Like, they're just going to milk it for all it's worth, because how many other like older guys are still around? Maybe we can get Kevin Nash in there, or maybe the Portuguese man of war Aldo Montoya.
Oh yeah.
I'm curious of like how high an elevation is Sting going to jump off of to land on Jeff Jarrett, because it's going to happen.
I don't care about September 18th. I can care less.
Gout Foundation. We had a lot of craziness in wrestling over the last 2 weeks, but Logan Paul at Crown Jewel
My baby can fly.
Roman Reigns. Now, on its own, on the surface, I know that isn't like a crazy thing that happened in wrestling, but just seeing a man in his third match, which all of his matches have been ginormous stadium shows as well. But in his first match for a world title, looked better than everyone on the AEW roster by leaps and bounds. If we're talking about professional wrestling, I know there's better athletes on the roster, but if we're talking about professional wrestling, which is physicality, selling, facials, presentation of yourself, getting a crowd behind you. That's Saudi Arabia. They don't know him as a YouTube star.
They don't have a clue who the hell he is.
Yeah, the majority of the crowd just knows that he's a guy that's there to take on Roman Reigns, so he's just getting kind of a cheer. And by the end of the match, that crowd was like, I came home during that main event and joined a live stream with people while I was chatting. And I had asked, I said, has this crowd been hot all night? They said, yeah, they have, but the way they've been for Logan Paul has been the hottest they have been all night long. And I don't know about you, but I've never seen anybody do that with an AEW fan base ever other than Nash Carter.
Basically, Nash Carter and Logan Paul, they're equals. They are scissoring each other hard. They're up there, and I'm sure Nash Carter can do a perfect buckshot lariat.
Oh yeah,
which Logan Paul achieved at in Saudi Arabia. Beautiful, pitch perfect, put almost Adam Page to shame.
Yeah, it looked like Mortis in there. Like for a second, I thought it was Mortis in that ring doing that buckshot lariat. That's how picture perfect it was.
Who's better than Canyon? Nash Carter.
Oh, we know now.
Or Logan Paul.
And the bad thing is for AEW fans, if they want to argue about Logan Paul not being that good, oh, he was carried. So that means he was carried by WWE's number one guy to look that amazing. The guy that everybody says is the worst thing for professional wrestling. The guy that everybody had just the best argument why Kenny Omega was ranked number one last year and why Roman was number two and why Roman should have been lower. That guy that's just so bad, the face of the WWE, made a YouTube guy look better than your whole roster. Like, it puts AEW fans like in the perfect, like, Sophie's choice. Which one are you going to choose? Is Logan Paul really that much better than all of our guys? Or were we all wrong last year by saying Roman is by far way below Kenny, even though he could make a YouTube star look better than all of our roster?
Oh God, I love Roman, and I feel like if I could bake a cake, hear me out. I could bake a cake in the same room with Roman Reigns, and I'll never have baked a cake before, but I have a feeling that Roman Reigns would make me look really good while I make that cake.
Oh, yeah.
It would be burnt to hell, but I would look amazing making it, thanks to the tribal chief.
Because he's so good that even after he ate your burnt cake, he would be like, oh, I don't want any cake like that ever again. But he'd be throwing shade on your cake, but the way he'd be doing it, it'd be making people be like, damn, is his cake that good that he doesn't want to do that cake anymore? Because
no cake has ever satisfied me the way this cake has satisfied me.
He just fears the diabetes.
Roman Reigns.
Oh, I'm sure a lot of other people would love to satisfy Roman Reigns too, you know.
Human nature.
But now, how'd you feel about the selfie spot, the selfie frog splash through the table?
It was as if he flew to heaven, to YouTube heaven, and there were no copyright claims as he was flying up there. That was all his own, and he landed on him like an angel on the Roman Reigns.
Now, do you think we need to do something like that so we could put some WWE content here on our show and not get flagged like we did with our first episode? Like, are we going to have to go and get involved in matches so we can hold the content?
I could probably pull some favors with GCW and see if I can like jump off a top rope and land on someone on a table. Granted, though, never done that before, but I'm sure Effie could pull a Roman and make me look good. Turn. I didn't even think about that. I just thought like, beat the shit out of Rollins and go fuck all y'all. and like go on my day. And like I didn't think anything about it. I'm like, okay, this is weird.
Yeah, because that's about the only thing that really, you know, if you think about it, that makes sense out of all that. But I could be wrong. I usually am.
Kevin McAllister. Do you realize that?
Oh, hello there. Everybody's giving Nikki a lot of shit for this too. It's like, why is she getting so much shit for that? Even though, just watch don't watch her face or the belt. Watch Bailey's face while this happens.
Like, oh, you fucked up.
Like she almost turned her entire body towards that, like as it happened, because she was like,
missed.
because I'm wondering if she thought they were gonna have to retake it. And then
Live.
and then what was Nikki looking at? Were you there? Was she like following your godly presence through the arena?
I was my soul. I had astral projected my soul into the arena. It was hovering over her like a white beam of light, and of course, I'm a delectable young man, so she's just drooling like, and of course, you're going to drop a championship belt and miss the trash can because I am a delectable man.
Well, do you think it was just coincidentally the trash can was there when she dropped it?
All totally planned out by me and my astral projected soul.
Yeah. So
I even pushed it like 1 inch. Boop. And missed. And that way I could win the belt, but I ended up not even getting it. They retired the damn thing. So I can't be the 24/7 champion.
now you made a video about this earlier in the week about Hacksaw Jim Duggan finding a belt.
It is his time to come back.
What's his name? R-Truth is hurt right now, out with knee or quad, torn quad.
Not better.
Do you think that is his way back on the TV?
I feel for Jim Duggan to come back on TV.
Well, hell, we could bring him on too.
when R-Truth finally heals up from, I believe, the quad injury he got from NXT, shouldn't be running around those young kids, by the way. He'll come back and he'll be like, he'll see a trash can and it'll be just like Jim Duggan. You know, it'll be a nice, like, nice reference. He'll be like, reach in, like, hey, I'm now the Intercontinental European Champion, 36-7. I can see that happening. Like that'll have to be like another 9 months. He could have a kid during that time.
Oh yeah,
throwing that out there.
He's about at the age where he could have been close to being the great grandfather of people in NXT. Not grandfather, but great grandfather. If everybody had kids at the age of like, what was it, 16? Is either 16 or 17.
If someone had some like prom sex, boom, you know, like everyone had prom sex, and boom, you know, he would be a great grandfather right now.
Yeah.
He's already like over 50.
Yeah, and the kid he was in the ring with, I think he was that much older then, and he gets hurt. But he gets hurt. It gets announced he's going to be gone that long. Nikki Ash disposing of the title. I feel like that was, you know, kind of future planning R-Truth coming back with that title. And maybe bringing him back to give him one more run, because maybe he pointed out that, hey, I got injured going down messing with those developmental guys for you. You know, I got hurt doing that.
What do I get?
I'm a former NWA champion, former member of DX, that I'm probably the most forgotten about member of that crew, other than Kane. And for some reason, I got just one United States title run, and that was because the referee counted Nakamura's shoulders down when the match wasn't supposed to end then. So what can I have? And it's like, all right, well, we'll think of something. And then, bam, 2 days later on TV, Nikki throws away the 24/7 title for him. And I wonder if he'll bring it back, not as a 24/7 title, but as a mid-card belt.
Either way, I feel R-Truth, when he brings it back, there needs to be like a banana peel on it. Folds it out, banana peel attached to it. Classic R-Truth. It writes itself.
Oh, yeah. Like a wet piece of newspaper.
Maybe a diaper that doesn't have anything on it. An Austin Theory t-shirt, something, some type of flash attached to it.
Just so he...
Jeff Jarrett t-shirt.
Yeah. But just so he could say, hey, you know, I get hurt, and this title that I've brought so much prestige to gets thrown out as soon as everybody finds out I'm on the shelf. You know, he won that title like something like 54, 56 times, something like that.
148.
I think
Close.
what's it? Jerry Lawler and the Mid-South, or not Mid-South, the CWA Championship. I forget what it's called right now, what the real name of it was. Can't remember, can you? Yeah, that's probably the only person that's held a specific title more times than R-Truth has held the 24/7 title. And R-Truth was able to do it in a span of 3 years. Took Jerry Lawler, what, from 76 to 96, so 20 years.
Punk ass.
Yeah. So maybe they'll have a rivalry over it.
Oh my God, yes.
You know,
I legitimately he'll have him go after the crown.
Gout Foundation. Gout Foundation.
Where did he go?
You know, about the only thing crazier than that match happening is Ethan Page getting a win on Dynamite.
How did that happen?
Well,
He
Eddie
won
Kingston.
a match.
It is Eddie Kingston, though. I mean, it's like me being like, hey, I went outside. That's about as hard as it is to legitimately beat Eddie Kingston.
The Mad King will come after you after that. My man!
You know, I've already got a plate in my arm from some Latin kings, so there really ain't much more he could do to me that hasn't already been done by those guys.
Orale. I live in East LA, so I can say that.
But that's the only, like, that's his gimmick, and like that's the only reason why a lot of people like him is like, oh man, they don't understand what they like about him, but what it is, it's like he's a gangster that like a legit gangster that you could tell doesn't like switch his stuff up, even if it can mean he could have a stable job and more money, but he wants to make sure he always wears black and gold or black and red, and he can make more money going places. And maybe Tony Khan, maybe that's fine. You know, since you live in East LA, you've been around gangsters. You know, that whole mystique of them being like, oh man, I wish I was like, you know, didn't give a fuck like that, you know. Eventually that wears off and you're just like, man, how the hell, like, did the guy make it through life this long just not caring about anything like this?
I kind of agree with that, because if I walked around talking like Eddie Kingston, I would get my ass whooped.
Oh yeah.
And not even here. I mean, like anywhere. How did you survive this? If I walked up and be like, "What up, partner? You sound like someone didn't check you." That would be me.
But just I'd understand if like there were more gangsters around Kingston all the time for him to keep it up. But like after a while, I think it'd be old to be around, you know?
Yeah.
Like just seeing the hood dude like do the thing like, all right, dude, it's your shtick. I don't see you going back to the hood anymore. Any of that. How about we have like a growth angle with you, like showing you like progressing in life to like something else.
A job at Golden Corral or something.
Yeah.
Go to that next level in life.
Because that's what they're kind of low key doing with like John Moxley, like after his rehab. They're like low key making it seem like he's slowly making himself a stable life. If you notice his bloodshed in his match, even though he still has to have it every match, it's not as much. It's not as extreme. It's not, it's not all the way going there.
Not a crimson match, but more of a crimson patch.
Yeah. I feel like at a point, it might be a while, might be a year, might be 2 years, but we'll be at a point where he's actually legitimately wrestling matches without all the craziness, where there's not an outside brawl. The whole match takes place inside the ring, and he doesn't bleed, because it'll probably eventually go to just him having matches in the ring, but he'll still bleed. And then the end of his arc is actually getting to that point. And Eddie Kingston can do that. I believe that's what WWE wanted to do with him. And he was like, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah. I can't do impersonation.
I don't get to rep my kings. I ain't
My
doing
king.
that. I'm the last king. Even though there's like 1,000 other motherfuckers outside this building, I'm the last king. I'm wearing my black and gold. Ah.
The world is cold and hard to rush and that road is cold.
What he probably did, everybody thinks that match with Cody is what got him over and got him his contract in AEW for the TNT title. That ain't it. When he got brought in to wrestle Cody, he looked around, he saw the white and gold. He's like, that's my colors. Like, it's our colors. And they didn't get any permission from us to use our colors. They're running to all of our cities. They're trying to run New York with the gold. Oh, hell no. And he held Tony Khan. There is a fly flying around me. And
Okay.
he held Tony Khan up and said, hey, you're going to have to pay up. You're using this. You're going to have some problems on the streets if you're going to keep on repping our colors and doing this funny, goofy ass shit. But if you throw me a little bit of money, hell, you could even justify your money by putting me on your roster. I'll smooth it over with the homies. I'll make sure you're all good. And that's how Kingston got his contract.
I assume just scared the shit out of Tony Khan.
But now Tony's not scared no more because Ethan Page got to win.
How? How did that happen? He doesn't win matches unless he's an Impact.
Yeah, especially on TV.
On TV, like the internet, he occasionally wins a match on Dark or Elevation, but on Dynamite, like no one even pointed that. That was an upset.
And on Impact, I believe the only matches he really won was that match against himself and then the cinematic match.
Against Karate Man?
Yeah, I don't believe any in-ring matches he won in Impact.
Well, unless it was with when he was the North with Josh Alexander. Yeah. But solo, I can't think of him winning a single match. I've never got a dub. He's a jobber. Like he was that Barry Horowitz at one point.
He needed Josh Alexander. Him and Josh Alexander, it was the perfect way to sum up Kurt Angle. Like that was Kurt Angle's two personalities. And if you watch them split off, Josh Alexander got way too serious, way too just white meat, babyface wrestler. There's really nothing to cheer, even though he's a great athlete, great wrestler, but there's nothing there. But then Ethan Page is all that goofiness, all that charisma, but amped up to 11 because there's nothing grounding him.
Too much charisma.
Yeah, it's like at least Kurt Angle, he had all that, but he had the also serious beast wrestling mode that kind of held that down a little bit, kept that in check.
And painkillers.
But well, I think that actually let those inhibitions go a little bit wilder. That's why it kind of switched from like 100% comedic angle to 100% wrestling god angle, as a lot of people call it perk angle. I feel like, though, the North was like the perfect representation of Kurt Angle. And seeing their split, you get to see if Kurt Angle had two identities, what would have happened with both. But with Ethan Page now beating, even though like the Eddie Kingston winning the AEW world title, like the only time to ever pull the trigger on that was exactly 1 year ago tomorrow. Because I was there when he got in that fight with Punk at Rampage. And then they had the match at Full Gear. But so that was the only time I could think of where Kingston was hot enough to pull the trigger on him winning the world title. But other than him, I feel like Ricky Starks is the only other real favorite other than what's his name? Lance Archer ripping him apart. But dude, I mean, who do you think's going to win it now that Kingston's out?
That whole group of guys. God, honestly, I thought Eddie Kingston was, was going to make his way somewhere up the ladder, and no. So now, and it looks like Ricky Starks. Actually, no. And now it's plain to see it's going to be Ricky Starks. Because they've been building up. He did that promo on Rampage like a week or two ago. I think that they're trying to build him up to be the next big baby face, or at least trying to.
So if they're doing that, does that mean we are getting an MJF heel turn against Moxley at Full Gear, or are we getting a Moxley heel turn at kind of like the William Regal thing I said, where he made sure MJF got rid of all of his help, all of everything, and then pulled the trigger on making sure Moxley destroyed him, to where MJF kind of has a babyface mentality to return, because Ricky Starks has that potential to be the biggest babyface in the company. But if MJF's going to be a babyface and world champion, even though Tony
has to turn heel, cue in Samoa Joe.
Yeah,
wrong guy. We were trying to get someone else to turn heel,
and we don't. I don't know. There's the whole firm thing. MJF being off TV for 2 weeks because of the injury. That doesn't seem very go out and get him, especially when you got Sting going through 9 tables. You get Sammy Guevara getting run over and trampled by a horse. You get
MJF's here like, I got one beat down and I can't be on TV for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. Darby Allin gets drawn and quartered, then thrown in an incinerator, and he's back later on in the night. Like, went through a table, had to miss 2 weeks.
Well, it's kind of like back in the 1990s when the Portuguese man of war Aldo Montoya went through a wood chipper.
Oh, yeah.
He was still able to compete in the Royal Rumble, and he may have won. I don't know. Back to AEW though.
I think he works backstage in AEW, or I heard rumors that he may be.
I heard he does good work. I heard he's like pretty damn good, and sometimes he's just incredible.
Yeah. He friended me. He friended me on TikTok and then deactivated his TikTok.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if he's back on there again or not.
My What Your Favorite Wrestler Says About You series, I don't remember what I said about him, but I feel like that was probably the most harshest one I'd ever done. I don't remember what I said.
I think that was
well, for Justin.
Yeah. I was trying to think, because you've had every single one you've said except for 4 has summed me up as a person. I don't know how I could be summed up as a man 942 different ways, but apparently I can be.
Did you see that one guy, Mark something, said that it was inspired, like all I'm doing is talking about myself? And I'm
yeah, I saw that.
Some stuff I'm talking about myself.
Yeah. Because a lot of it, I remember the first 2 or 3 I saw of you, there was a lot. And I was like, man, that hits. That hits me right here.
I noticed stuff. I got people who are dead on, freakishly, stuff that's really specific. And they're like,
how'd you know? How'd you know my favorite wrestler was Chuck Palumbo and I do wear my left shoe on my right foot? How?
Ooh, I might give me inspiration there. Follow us both on TikTok. Jano's Wrestling and Best Scout Machine. Oh yes, the leaders in comedic wrestling TikToks.
Comedic?
Oh, sorry, wrong way. I mean, I'm the comedic.
Oh, what? I thought all that was serious.
Yeah, it's scientific. If anything, it's scientific.
Yeah. I thought we were the intellectuals of wrestling TikTok because you were putting in the science, the psychology behind wrestling fandom. And I'm the only one that's honest enough to let people know what's really going on, but they're afraid to say because they are snowflakes that melt under pressure, so have to conform to wrestling normalities, which is all just molded by their leader, Dave Meltzer, who is slowly going crazier and crazier. Like it's professional wrestling has turned into politics. It's like
Yeah.
Dave Meltzer is Joe Biden. It's like all the people that follow, and it's funny because all the people that follow Dave Meltzer, like wrestler wise, are like hardcore conservatives. But Dave Meltzer is like the liberal side of wrestling, where it's like, you got to like this. You got to like all this new stuff. If you don't accept that 7-year-old girls can beat 40-year-old 20-year veterans of wrestling, then you just don't like good wrestling. You don't appreciate good wrestling if you don't like it when a guy does 37 flips for no reason whatsoever and wins the match with a roll up. But then you got that Jim Quartet
I was like, what? We're going to go with Jim Cornette.
Yeah, that Jim Corn on the Cob or whatever his name is. And he is, even though all of his people are in real life are liberals and he's a big liberal, but when it comes to wrestling, he's representing the conservative side.
He sounds like the right wing nut jobs.
Yeah. And it's like nobody could be like in the middle. It's like, how about I like something that looks like an actual match that's realistic, but when somebody shows some personality, that's great. Somebody could do a flip, that would be great. But, you know, it's either you got to lean all the way to one side or the other. And if you're in the middle and point out how dumb they are, you get bashed by both sides because you don't agree with either side. And that's how politics is.
You don't even like Bray Wyatt or WWE.
Yeah. I mean, like I get told so much how big of a WWE mark I am, that they must be paying me. And then 2 days later, I'll get told by the same person sometimes that, you know, just because I love AEW and think AEW is so great, that I don't have to bash WWE all the time.
By the way, if you're watching this and you're the guy that does this, we're calling you out. It is on site, fool.
Yeah. And then because of how much you analyze wrestling and their fans, of course you can't be a fan whatsoever or like anything because you're criticizing wrestling. You know, even you criticizing, you know, and you weren't, you were just pointing how comedic the Sami Zayn Usi thing was.
Mm-hmm.
You're a 100% WWE guy because you thought that was funny.
Yeah, then the AEW people look at me funny.
Yeah, you can't like AEW if you thought that line by Sami Zayn was funny. But when Sami Zayn goes there before his contract or before he's done wrestling, because he'll like to hang out with his friends, then all of a sudden that would have been the funniest thing in the world.
Guaranteed, he goes to AEW sometime in the next 8 years.
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah,
3.
because I think it's funny. Just 4 weeks ago, we thought there was a chance of the Bucks going over to WWE, and now we found out that there's no possible way that Tony's letting the Bucks go.
Wasn't it Meltzer who said that? Oh yeah, they're sending feelers over to WWE.
Yeah, just because he's friends with, you know, they're friends with Kevin Owens. Like that's the only connection. I just think it's funny that Meltzer had that little temper tantrum about they're not releasing any information about this investigation. They're not even telling us one thing what's going on. When people are coming, they're telling us nothing whatsoever. Then the next week, the Elite are, you know, the teaser video shown. And then Dave's like, well, we're not even knowing if Punk's coming back or blah, 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 blah. Then all of a sudden, AEW greatest thing, Tony Khan leads that locker room like no other, but like all of a sudden all that's over. No more criticize. He criticized AEW for 1 week, and Tony Khan like gave in to all the kind of demands that he wanted.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, because Dave Meltzer. Yeah, because he wanted the Elite back, so that's who Tony brought back was the Elite. Dave knew Punk couldn't wrestle, so he didn't want Punk back. He wanted the Elite back. And
Punk and he can go kick rocks now because Daddy needs his Meltzer driver. Daddy Meltzer needs his Meltzer driver.
So now that Ethan Page has won a match, is the firm a thing? Is the firm staying? Is the firm here?
The firm, I believe, are to stay. The firm is strong. The firm is as firm as my ass.
Oh.
Ooh.
Now,
I think they're still around.
Do you think Morrissey is going to help Ethan Page win any of the rest of his matches to maybe guide him closer to the world title?
I think so. I think there will be, he's in a heel group. Shenanigans will ensue, will happen. We'll probably get that along the way. Oh my God, is Ethan Page going to win more matches?
Oh, because
I
what if
think
this?
about that.
We thought about the beatdown being a swerve, right?
Yeah.
So Ethan Page wins the tournament. MJF wins the belt. Ethan Page versus MJF. Now it's Firm versus MJF. The Firm turns on Ethan Page for MJF to get the title. MJF makes the full-on face turn to win the title, and then the next night or 2 nights later, whatever, when he takes on Ethan Page, heel turn's made immediately. He won the title as a face and then went right back heel, not even a week later.
That would be perfect, Well, that would be perfect. I think so. I think MJF just turn face for one day, couple of days, go back. You're a bad boy now, like you're always supposed to be.
Ethan Page and Morrissey are the only two really that did moves on him. Everybody else just kind of kicked him a little bit.
Yeah,
so they could just say they were taking it easy. They could say that they weren't really going in, and that's why Page got attacked and was out, and that's why they didn't want nothing to do with Morrissey, because you can't do nothing with him anyways unless you got somebody that could actually talk real good with him. But then we'd be doing the Wardlow MJF thing again if we did that.
If anything, I think the Firm at some point really soon, just go ahead, even though they're a new group, go ahead and break off, and the remaining guys be the Firm, and the other guys be the new Nexus.
That might work.
Writes itself.
Especially if the Gun Club or whatever they're called ends up beating FTR. The Guns. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot that the NRA tried to sue AEW over that.
From my cold dead hands.
Now, I don't think this wrestling is televised or actually even wrestled in a ring anymore. But there was some other crazy wrestling news this week as well. What do you think about the whole Nick Aldis, Billy Corgan situation?
I feel like okay. So what it sounds like is that Nick Aldis announced that he was going to leave the NWA. Said he wasn't happy with them, and Billy Corgan heard that, cried into a bowl of oatmeal, and was like, "You're suspended, Mister." So now Nick Aldis, the former NWA World Champion, I believe 2-time champion, held it for over 1,000 days. Is getting suspended because, I guess he had issues with him because he felt like they insulted his wife by not doing another Empower pay-per-view, even though they were saying they would lost money, they wouldn't be able to do another one. And I'm like, how did that lose money? The first one, everybody was talking about Empower. It was trending. People watched it. The pay-per-view the next day, a regular pay-per-view that they did. If it was the 75th anniversary of the NWA, nobody talked about it. No, I forgot that it was even happening. I was all about Empower.
Oh, yeah. And also, so there's that part of it as well. But Billy Corgan, just 2 days before that, spoke about the possibility of the NWA working with AEW as well.
Oh, okay.
And Nick Aldis, a very serious man, the man that I believe is the only reason why Billy Corgan even decided to buy the NWA, because Nick Aldis was already NWA champion before Billy Corgan even bought the company. And he was like, really? AEW? Like, I'm a serious world champ. I didn't even really like having to lose to Trevor Murdoch. You know, he appreciated the Cody thing because of the Dusty connection. He lost to Dusty's son. He lost to Dusty's son, so Dusty's son could win the title that his father held. So he was cool with that, but he didn't seem so cool with the Trevor Murdoch thing. But now the company that he built, that he raised from the ashes, that, COVID did kind of kill a little bit, but that he's, if he's not on the card, people aren't coming.
Yeah.
If he's not on the card, people aren't watching. If his wife isn't on the women's card, some people are watching, at least. More people are probably watching that than the regular NWA, even if Mickie James isn't with the women. But he's doing all that, and then he's like, you're going to turn us into a joke working with AEW, because they're just going to either put our guys on dark or dark elevation, make them lose. And we can't do an invasion angle because we'd be like the third different company trying to invade.
100 invasion angles have been done. NWA had a control your narrative invasion angle just a month ago. I hiccuped.
Because I feel like that would be the only thing really that would work, maybe, is that if Jeff Jarrett, just to get back to what we were talking about at the very beginning of the show, Jeff Jarrett was there as the lead whatever to start this NWA invasion, and Control Your Narrative came in. Control Your Narrative doesn't work out, and then the NWA brings in the big guns to do it. But I think that Nick Aldis just takes himself so seriously that he's like, I don't want to deal with this AEW stuff. And Billy Corgan's trying to play, it's an angle, guys. Yeah. It's an angle. Don't get too worried.
I refuse to believe this is an angle, even though, like, to see Nick Aldis, I wanted to see him in AEW for like a minute. But I don't know. He's serious. He is serious. Like, look at his face.
Wow.
Look how serious that face is. Serious. Look how serious those pecs are.
Yeah, that's like Lance Storm serious.
No, that's just like zero charisma. You're serious. That's no seriousness.
But we've seen what AEW's done. Just think, Bryan Danielson comes in, serious wrestler, super hot. He's kind of buried to the side. Like, he's never really, he main evented last night, but like, it really wasn't like all about Bryan Danielson all the way through. Even Adam Cole, when he came in, like, the Elite did everything they could to hold him down off TV because he's serious. He's just a good wrestler. Even though he's a little goofy, they still try to keep him down. And then, Punk, we see that. No matter how much I personally hate the guy, it's like he got screwed over for being serious,
Purposely broke his leg.
Cesaro, the greatest thing in wrestling, even though I've told everybody I don't get it. And obviously AEW doesn't get Cesaro either because of how little TV time he gets, even though everybody thinks he was like the second coming of freaking Karl Gotch or whatever. Like, AEW just holds all these guys that are serious wrestlers, that are serious about their characters, that aren't going out there just to make asses of themselves. Like, Jericho is going out there to make an ass out of himself like he did in the late 90s in WCW, but he's so over to the point that you could kind of see the seriousness in it. But he's doing it to try to make it seem like he's a sports entertainer anyways.
Well, it's like when they didn't give... Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
It's like when they didn't give Jonathan Gresham the respect that he deserved, because he is a serious wrestler. He is the Dean Malenko of this generation. He's the second coming of Karl Gotch and Frank Hackenschmidt.
Yeah, and that's why Tony didn't want that Ring of Honor title on him, because
No.
he was too serious. We need characters, but like to Tony, there can't be a serious character. It has to be a laugh at me character. Look at all the flips I can do, huh? I'm cool because I could brood.
Brood.
But that's what all the AEW guys do when they're bad guys. They do this.
Kind of like in
What?
WWE, all the backstage interviewers do this at the end.
Yeah. But watch on Rampage or next night on Dynamite. Like, don't watch which tunnel they come out of. So just block that part from your eyes and just watch them come down and see if they're doing this or if they're doing this. If they're doing this, they're a good guy. If they're doing this, they're a bad guy, because those are the only two reactions in all of AEW. The only difference is Swerve in Your Glory, because Swerve's just barely getting down there with Keith on his back, and the Acclaim throwing up the scissors. That is the only exceptions to that rule. And Nick Aldis knows it. Nick Aldis knows he'll go in there. They're going to make him lose to Darby Allin. They'll make him lose to Darby Allin or Ricky Starks. They're going to make him lose to a guy that's like 100 pounds lighter than him in a match that makes no damn sense why it's happening, because we don't know how to do stories. So we'll just do a different tournament. Once one tournament ends, we'll have a week break. We'll have a show that makes zero sense, and then we'll start another tournament. Because if you watched AEW from the beginning, that's what it's like. There's a tournament, and then there's about 1 week. This time we only had a week in between, but there's usually, and then the finals of that tournament, the world champion,
Eliminator tournament.
And then we have a week where it's just chaos. You have no idea what the hell's going on, and then a tournament starts the next week because nobody knows how to book there. Nobody knows what's going on. So it's tournament. The tournament winner takes on the champion, then just a hallucination week, and then tournament starts again. Like,
I did a lot of peyote during that time.
Yeah. And they can't even schedule it properly to where if the tournament ran properly, like you did, the whole first round in 1 week, the whole second round in 1 week, if you did it properly, they can't even schedule it to where it ends at the pay-per-view or it ends at your big event.
2 matches here, 3, then 1, 2, and then like.
Yeah. Remember the Owen Hart Memorial foot out of the leg out of the leg tournament for the singlet that he once wore when he pissed himself tournament?
Yeah.
Like one side already had a finalist, while the other side was like they just started their second round.
Semi-final.
Like it made no sense because they were they wanted a particular outcome. Everybody knew who the 2 finalists were going to be. They wanted that. They got that. But the way that they scheduled it, they kept that. I guess they forgot which side was on which bracket. So they finished out one bracket. It only got one match in on the other half of the bracket.
Poor Tony Khan. I'm sure he forgets to wipe his ass on occasion.
Therefore, Ethan Page wins a match against Eddie Kingston.
That makes sense. Kevin McAllister. Oh!
Finally, this week, we need to talk about some past craziness in professional wrestling.
Going back to the past, back to the future.
And so in ECW, I'm going to paint the picture before I play this interview here. So in ECW, Road Warrior Hawk was taking on Terry Funk.
The Funkster.
And Terry Funk and Hawk were going at it, and King Kong Bundy comes to the ring and handcuffs Hawk to the rope so both of them could beat on him. So Road Warrior Hawk went out and got himself a partner, and let's watch this promo. Maybe I didn't hit the button at the right time.
I'm thinking two things. Plasma and hemoglobin. Mine. I'm knee deep in it. My plasma. My hemoglobin. It ain't Funk's. And what the hell?
So does he only have
going
blood to his
around
knees?
Here? Bundy, where he come from? Well, you know something? You're big, Bundy, and Funk, you're nuts. I know. I'm an authority on it. And you want to know something? You're not that nuts where you ain't smart. You're damn smart, stick me, with handcuffs on that rope. And that's the only way you'd survive. But Sabu, the brother came through and put you down for that count, Funk, while I sat.
Okay, so real quick,
Hemoglobin!
fuck your nuts. You didn't do it right.
You didn't say that correctly. Fuck your nuts.
I'm actually writing it down right now. There will soon be Gout Foundation shirts available. Fuck your nuts. You're not doing it right.
Fuck your nuts. You're not doing it right. Move.
So how do you feel about
Yeah.
fuck your nuts? You're not doing it right.
Fuck your nuts. You're not. I absolutely love, like, how can I put it? It felt like he wrote the whole thing, memorized it, and didn't put any like marks, commas, or periods anywhere. 'Cause there are moments in there where he finishes the sentence with like the first word of the next one. Like he got really Captain Kirk on there. You're going to be punished, fuck, and he keeps calling him fuck instead of funk.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even know the guy's name. He's a legend. Shame on you, Hawk. Hemoglobin.
Yeah, the hemoglobin, he's knee deep in it, but it's his own. So, like, does he only have blood to his knees? Like, what's running the rest of his body?
Were you in The Shining?
Cocaine and steroids?
Oh man, that whole promo with him and even Neidhart's part, it just screamed cocaine. But I was getting a sore throat just hearing it.
Well,
Where
here,
did he go? Where did he come from? Where did he go? I need a lozenge.
Yeah, I got the rest of the Neidhart part coming up right here.
Bleed my own blood makes me sick, but
You
at the
made me bleed my
same
own blood.
time, I've never felt better. Jimmy Anvil Neidhart, what a man!
You know something? Hawk, you wonder where Bundy came from. What I want to know is where did he go? And why?
Where did he go?
And leave Terry Funk in the ring. Terry Funk,
So much
you
cocaine.
haven't got the guts to fight anybody with a fist. He's got to put handcuffs and bond the man to the ring to make things fair. You haven't got the guts, Terry Funk, to fight the Hawk the way it should be done.
Listen, my friend.
My friend. Shit, did I put a comma there?
Now, ECW had just some of the craziest, just like one-offs, like throughout the entire company. So this match, Neidhart was trying to get back into the WWF. It was right for the Hart Foundation. Remember, Neidhart wasn't there. So originally, the feud was supposed to be won by Funk and King Kong Bundy, and Neidhart didn't want to lose, so it ended up just turning into a big old brawl. Nobody ended up winning the match or anything. It was kind of a Legends of Wrestling type deal.
Yeah.
Where Neidhart was supposed to take on Bundy one-on-one. And Neidhart, like I said, didn't want to lose, so then they did the tag team deal. And then I guess Hawk was like, well, screw it. If you don't want to win, I ain't taking the loss either. And nobody wanted to take a loss, so it just turned into a brawl.
This ain't going to be on regular television. We can do whatever the hell we want. Okay, and Rick Steiner.
We were on our roll.
We were on a roll. Rick Steiner was there. The dog-faced gremlin. No,
You have more
I
bass in
can't
your
do it.
voice. I can say Rick Steiner is here, is he?
Now his thing with Rick Steiner, he likes to watch the Gout Foundation on TikTok and the Twitch.
But nothing you need to tell the masses before then? Oh,
See, here's the thing, folks.
oh no, something's coming.
It's important for every man to show. See, I've cried 1,000 times. I'm going to cry some more. And it's good to show off every emotion. You see, I have soared with the eagles and I've slithered with the snakes and I've been everywhere in between. And the thing about life is their only guarantee is there are no guarantees. And if you get knocked down, you got to take a standing hit, get back up, fight again, and you'll be a macho maniac.
All I have to say to that is, ooh, yeah.
We all know who I'm quoting. All right. It's the closest one. I have about 100 Christmas hats, and I'm not exaggerating. And don't forget to give Froggy Omega a glass of milk on Christmas Eve and Thanksgiving and cookies. Or else you won't give your family a turkey.
All right. So for the best Gout machine and Froggy Omega, it's your boy Raphael, and this has been the Gout Foundation. We will see you in the future.
Gout Foundation!